Hello everyone, and welcome to our free December webinar. I am so excited to be here with you today. And today I am answering all of your questions about finding quality bookkeeping clients. So if you have any questions about marketing, how to find clients, what you should be doing to find quality clients, which there's a difference between clients and quality clients, I'm here to answer your questions. So, as you're joining me, let me know in the chat where you're joining me from. As you know, I love to hear from you. I love to know where you're joining from. I'm always excited to see that you have joined me, that we're in this together. Because I'd hate to think that I'm just talking to an empty room. So, let me know in the chat where you're joining me from. I see Audrey from Knoxville, Tennessee. Hello, Carol from Wisconsin, Manjeet, Sue, and sorry, as you know, then the chat goes too fast and then I can't keep up with it. Let me see. Carolyn from Latonia, Ohio. Felicia from Maryland. Sue from Fort Myers, Florida. Alicia from Colorado Springs. Oh, we have Kristen from Hawaii. Aloha. Yuri from Calgary. Hello. Let me see, I'm skipping over a few because I think we had 500 people sign up for the webinar. Bruce, let's see, Lawrence from Canada, William from New York City, Alfie from the Philippines, welcome. Jeff, hello, Jeff from North Carolina. Erica from New Orleans. See Beth Ann. Hello, Beth Ann from St. Augustine, Florida. We have Tracy, a fellow Texan. She's in San Antonio. Yesenia from Canada. I think that's Canada. Yeah, Canada. Sorry, I thought it might have been California, but it's Canada, I do believe. Karen from Southeast Texas, around the same parts of Texas where I am, probably. Jesse from Denver. And Robbie from Georgia. Oh, Tashina from Houston, a fellow Houstonian. Natalie from Southern California. Hello, Natalie. Whittier, California. Thank you, Yesenia, for correcting me. Okay. So welcome one and all. And again, I'm so glad that you're joining me today. So as I said before, I'm here today to answer your biggest questions about finding quality bookkeeping clients. I'll talk about a little bit about my own struggles and my journey with marketing and how that has worked for me. And I know that marketing is a big challenge for, I think, almost everyone, anyone who's a bookkeeper, accountant. Marketing is one of those things that we weren't taught. And most of us are introverted, and I am introverted. And so it's hard for us to really be confident in putting ourselves out there. And so marketing becomes even more challenging because of those things. And even knowing how to differentiate yourself, how to compete with other people is a great challenge. I see we have Del Marie from New York. Hello, Del Marie. So as you're joining me, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And all right, so if you don't know who I am, welcome. My name is Veronica Wasek. I'm the founder of the 5MB Academy for Virtual Bookkeepers, and I'll talk about the 5MB Academy here in a little bit. But my goal is to empower virtual bookkeepers so that they can become confident professionals and business owners. I'm the CEO of VM Wasek, and my team and I specialize in bookkeeping and consulting for Shopify sellers. I'm also the creator and main content producer of the 5-Minute Bookkeeping YouTube channel and blog, and founder of the Facebook group 5-Minute Bookkeeping Community. I am a top 10 as well as a top 100 QuickBooks Pro advisor. I am a certified public accountant in the US and also certified advanced QBO Pro advisor. I live in Sugar Land, Texas, right outside of Houston, and then you can follow me on Instagram at 5-Minute Bookkeeping. You may have heard me talking about the farm and ranch that my husband purchased a little bit over a year ago. So these are some of the pictures of our farm. It's called A Wonderful Grace, and it's 90 acres. It's halfway between Houston and San Antonio. And this is where I spend my Fridays and Saturdays now, working at the farm, working with barbed wire and doing all sorts of farm and ranch things. And it's just a beautiful place, and I'm very blessed to be able to spend this time there with my husband. So I just wanted to share that with you. This is what I do in my spare time when I'm not doing everything else that I do. And Robin says, great farm. Thank you. Oh, and question. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it really, the sunsets are amazing. Just absolutely amazing. All right. All content, handouts, and recordings are under copyright. So everything that I will share with you is under copyright. So you may not record this webinar. Don't record this webinar and put it on YouTube. It's my own content. There is a handout, and I believe I pinned the handout for you. You should be able to see a handout tab in your webinar window, so you can view it or download it. There's not a lot of a great information in the handout because I'm answering your questions live, but I will share with you about a special sale that I'll be having, and so that is on the handout. So make sure that you get the handout. In terms of the chat and questions, I'm going to. Okay, I already see that people put questions in the Q&A because I have you trained. So let's go ahead and put the questions in the Q&A. Let's do that. Put your questions in the Q&A tab and not in the chat. And that way, all the questions will go in the Q&A. My team member, Jessie Harris, is here with me today. So she'll be monitoring the chat. If you accidentally put a question in the chat, she's going to send it over to the Q&A. But if you can, just put it in the Q&A. The recording of today's session will be emailed to you as well as the link to today's handout. And let's see. All right. So as you're putting in your questions in the Q&A rather, I'm just going to share a little bit about my own marketing journey with you, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. And then later, I'll also tell you about the sale that we're having. So my marketing journey, really, marketing was one of those things that I was deathly scared of. When I worked for other companies and they would talk about me having to go make presentations to potential clients, go to networking events, anything that might involve selling, I froze. I just didn't want to do it. I couldn't do it. There was this one job where they wanted me to go make presentations, and I just did everything I could to just get out of that because I was scared. I just didn't feel comfortable in doing things that I perceived were selling. And many of you might be introverted, as I am, and it's not something that's comfortable to us. There's a lot of mindset things that we have to get past when we think about selling and marketing. And so a lot of it starts with our mindset. And so that's what I realized, that I needed to start working on my mindset when it came to marketing, especially when I started my business 12 years ago. There was no choice. At that point, I had to do marketing, and I understood that I would have to get over that fear. And so I threw myself into marketing. And while things were working to some extent, then I got caught into this trap of, well, then I'm marketing to any client for any service for any price, which then took me the opposite of the pendulum, where now I'm taking just anybody and I'm working with clients who don't respect what I do. They want to control everything that I do. They don't want to pay. They don't respect me. They don't respect my team members. And that was also a problem. And I'm sure we'll end up talking about the fact that we can find clients, but can we find the right clients? And there's a big difference. And as I said, I went from I don't want to do any marketing to any client, anything, any service. And then I got stuck in this cycle. And many of you are stuck in the same cycle. We lack clarity into who is an ideal client because we don't know. We just think any client must be good, right? Because I need the money. And I did need the money. Okay. But we have a lack of clarity into who we are marketing to, who are we looking for, who is that ideal client, what do we do for them that's valuable, how do we communicate our value, how do we communicate our message. And we end up sending the wrong messages. Most of the time, we end up sending the wrong messages. A lot of those messages have to do with cheap, affordable, and as I said before, any client, anything. There's no differentiation. And so then you have to compete on price most of the time. And so you end up getting either no clients or bad clients, which then leads you to, as I said, competing on price, low prices, which then takes us back to the start of the cycle of where now we're confused. Why can't I find good clients? Why can't I find clients? Why are they all tire kickers? Why are they all so cheap? And we start the cycle all over again, from the lack of clarity into sending the wrong message to bad clients, bad pricing. And that led to a lot of frustration on my part. And I know that I see a lot of you are really frustrated with the same issue. You're stuck in that cycle. And I didn't necessarily know how to get out of that cycle until I really started honing in on my marketing and understanding more about marketing. And that led me to create my 3-step marketing system. It's all about clarifying your message, amplifying your message, and then converting those prospects into clients. When it comes to clarifying your message, you need to clarify who you are, because it starts with you, clarifying your brand, understanding your value, know who your ideal client is. You need to ideally have a niche, clarify your message, clarify what you say to people, what do you do, how do you do it, who do you do it for, and even clarifying your call to action. What do you want that ideal client to do when they land on your marketing materials? The second step is to amplify that message. Once you have a clear message, clear marketing message, then you need to amplify your message. It needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, and it needs to be consistent. And the third step is convert. Turn those leads into prospects and then into clients. Okay, I'm going to share this with you later. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to leave this. Actually, no, I'm going to share the Q&A window here. But if you take anything away from today's call, is that you need to clarify your marketing message. So again, who you are, your brand, your value, your ideal client, your niche, your message, and your call to action. So I'm going to go ahead and share the Q&A window so everybody can see what I'm answering. There we go. I'm going to go to the top here. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so again, if you're just joining me, put your questions in the Q&A. So I'm here to answer your questions, and I will do that for the next about 45 minutes. All right, so Chris says, I just onboarded a restaurant client and did not realize how all the integrations and necessary diagnosing and cleanup required really set my onboarding time back. What niches are the best payout for and least complication in your experience? So the easiest niches or industries to work with are service-based businesses, because you don't deal with, typically you're not dealing with inventory, sales taxes, and more complicated issues. If you're just starting out, I think service-based businesses are good businesses to start working with. And ideally, you want to maybe identify a particular type of service-based business, and might be marketing agencies, for example. And then start really focusing on your marketing, and talking directly to those ideal types of clients. Because even when we're marketing and saying we work with service-based businesses, it's still a bit broad. And the whole idea of marketing is that you need to talk directly to your ideal client, so that they know that you're talking directly to them. Second question from Chris. I wanted to reach out to several local businesses to offer services, and then realized most owners probably aren't in the business. How do you recommend getting in contact with business owners? That's a great question, Chris. And depending on where you live, that might be a viable option. And sometimes if you can't talk to the business owner, then you might try to talk to the office manager, or an admin, or someone that it works closely with the business owner. Aside from that, you probably need to go to some local networking events, because I guarantee those business owners are probably at those local networking events. Another effective way to find those ideal clients is to see if they have any industry associations that you can join. That's also an effective way. Aside from that, let's say, once you establish how you're going to reach local clients, then you also need to be reaching clients online through Facebook, through other social media, YouTube. I might talk more about that depending on the questions that I'm asked. But ideally, you want to then to set up your marketing so that when those ideal clients are looking for help, they will find you online. All right, Carol has a question. Hello, I am new in e-commerce and taking the course, and she's referring to my Shopify course. I have my first e-commerce client who's also new with low sales. I would like to take them on, but can't afford the regular bookkeeping fees. I'd like to work with them, but would prefer they pay for their subscriptions for A2X and TaxJar. Is that a good idea? Any other fees you suggest I can have them pay? Okay, Carol, so if you're in my Shopify course, go ahead and ask these questions in the Shopify student group, because I'd like to talk more about marketing today. But from the perspective of marketing and selling to clients that might be price sensitive, I think that's where you have to then to really do the homework on, as I said before, on who is an ideal client for you. Because a lot of times we pick a niche and we decide, okay, e-commerce is my niche, but we haven't yet defined who is that ideal client, because not everybody in that niche is an ideal client for you. So then you have to figure out, okay, if they're brand new and they can't afford your services, are they an ideal client? Most of us would agree that that's not an ideal client because they can't afford your services. So again, if you're going to get stuck in the cycle of I'll take any client, any e-commerce client for any price, for any service, then you get stuck again with bad clients and bad prices, or they can't afford you. And then you get more confused. And so the first thing that you need to do, Carol, aside from, it's a great thing you're taking my course and learning all the technical aspects of working with Shopify clients, you have to also then decide on who is an ideal client, and also even set a minimum monthly price that you will work or that you will accept from your clients. So for our Shopify clients, our monthly minimum is $900. Well, it has been $950 and probably bumping it up now. And so that's the start of your marketing, is knowing who's that ideal client and what is the minimum that you're going to charge them. Audrey is asking, how do you feel about finding quality clients in Upwork? Audrey, I've never worked or used Upwork to find clients, but I know people who do. In particular, Donna Reed is the master of finding quality clients in Upwork. A lot of it in terms of how does she do that? Because there are a lot of people who charge a lot less money than her. Is about then who's that ideal client? That ideal client who is on Upwork is not looking to pay someone $50 to solve a problem. They're looking to find someone qualified who specializes in their business, who can solve their problems. And so while sometimes we think that Upwork is this place where people go find cheap labor, and sometimes they do, there are premium clients on Upwork. And so I know that people are finding quality clients. You may want to join Donna Reed's Facebook group, and I think she also has some training on that as well. Dan is asking, or saying, a big challenge has been finding the right marketing channels to reach my prospects. I don't want to rely on social media. I think, Dan, I would ask you, and if you want to answer me, is why don't you want to rely on social media? I probably wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket, because as we know, Twitter is sort of in chaos at the moment. But I would say for me, social media has been very effective, but I think it's a matter of understanding that you have to be ready to pivot if you need to, if there's maybe issues with that particular social media channel. But give me more information, Dan. I'll be happy to continue our conversation. Andrea says, how would you define a quality client? Well, Andrea, how would you define a quality client? Because ultimately it's about how you would define that client. So for me, a quality client is someone who, number one, is fairly convinced that I'm the only one who can help them solve their biggest problems when it comes to their financials. They're collaborative, they're friendly, they're respectful, they are learners, and they're willing and able to pay for pricing, and they're also allowing my team and I to control the process. They're not trying to control the process. And so a quality client goes back to, who's that ideal client? Who would you like to work with? What are the qualities that they possess? Maybe, maybe you like someone, maybe you have tattoos, okay? And maybe you want clients who have tattoos. And so it's just whatever you think would be someone that would align with you. And then the quality part is that they're willing and able to pay for your services. They're respectful. They respect you and your abilities. They value what you do, and they're willing to let you control the process. So make a list. And I'm saying to everyone, the first thing you have to do is identify who is an ideal client. And if you don't know what that is, start with, first of all, who do you not want to work with? Who are the people what are the characteristics that you absolutely do not want to work with? Because then you'll know when to say no to those types of clients. And then as you talk to more prospective clients and work with more clients, then you start making the list of who do you like to work with? If you worked with a handful of clients, what were the characteristics that you liked about those clients? And keep in mind that we're not competing against each other, because if you're doing your marketing right, your marketing will attract the right clients and it will repel the wrong clients. And that's the idea. Marketing is about attracting and repelling. And while I may repel certain clients because maybe they don't like my style or whatever it is, that they don't resonate with me, they'll resonate with someone else. And that's why it's important. We can't all do the same thing when it comes to marketing, because again, the idea is to attract and repel. Tashina says, have you used Alignable to get clients? I have not. Perhaps in the chat, if some others have used Alignable, can you let Tashina know if that's working for you? I think I've heard from some people that it hasn't worked well for them, but I don't know. I've never used it and I don't know a whole lot about it. Andrew says, if you take on a client and you discover later on that they are not a quality client, what do you do? Do you keep them, let them go? Do you try to find a replacement first and then part ways with the original one? That's a great question because, this whole idea of working with quality clients, we have to run this through a couple of filters, if you will. One is that we have to make money, and sometimes we are going to work with less than ideal clients. The goal is over time, you will work with more and more quality or ideal clients. But at some point, and it happened to me many times, that either I thought they would be a good client and they weren't, or I took them on because I needed the money and I made it work. But after a couple of years, I had to let them go. And so ultimately, I would say that, yes, you need to let them go, but ideally, you need to replace them with a more ideal client first before you let go of those less than ideal clients. And that's exactly what we did at my firm, is that as we had a better idea of who we needed to work with, as I became better at identifying the services that we really wanted to provide instead of just saying yes to everything, then we had a really good picture of who those ideal clients were. And so then we made a list of who are the clients that we need to let go of. And we do this on a regular basis. We know who is on our list to let go. But sometimes you can't let them go yet. I have to make payroll. I have to pay the bills in my business. And so when you get a new client and you get that client onboarded and everything looks like it's going to work, then you let go of another client. And then you add another good client, you let go. And so it can even be a continual thing. If you work with a lot of clients that you ultimately don't like or not a good fit for you, you might be doing that for a while until you replace all of your less than ideal clients with more ideal clients. Let's see. Bruce says, find firms who are looking for bookkeepers that can just enter transactions. Can you let me know what your question is, Bruce? I'm not sure if you're referring to something I said before, or if you have a question. Let's see. Jocelyn, how do you create a target audience specific to tracking clients in Facebook when creating ads? That is a fantastic question. However, Jocelyn, I have never paid for Facebook ads. And I don't intend to. I get all of my clients from YouTube. 99% really of our clients come from YouTube, and I've never had to pay for ads. And now, if that's not to say that you shouldn't, but if you are trying to do Facebook ads or any sort of paid, like if you're going to put money into your marketing, make sure, again, that you have done the foundational work of clearly identifying, or really, what is the word I'm trying to think of? You have to clarify your marketing message. That's what I was trying to say. Clarify your marketing message. Because if you don't, you're going to put all of this money into paid ads, and then these people are going to land on your marketing materials, and there's going to be a disconnect, because either you won't be talking directly to them, or you may be, but a lot of people also have a bad call to action, or there's no clear call to action. And so you have to make sure that all of that is in place before you put money into marketing. Otherwise, you'll just be wasting your money. So I hope you have that already in place, Jocelyn. But unfortunately, like I said, I don't have experience with doing Facebook ads. Jennifer says, if you had to focus on one effective marketing effort in obtaining quality leads, what would that be? Search engine optimization, one of many SM outlets, or some other method. My niche is e-commerce. Well, I'm going to go back to what has worked for me is content marketing, and specifically YouTube videos. I know a lot of people are also doing reels and shorts and TikTok, and so I think the key, and especially for e-commerce, is where are the e-commerce sellers hanging out? Where are they spending their time? A lot of them are doing marketing. I mean, they spend a lot of time marketing. So they are going to be on Instagram, um, on TikTok, possibly. Many of our clients are on YouTube because they're looking for information on how to do something. And so I would focus, if video is your thing, I would do video. I would also do search engine optimization because they can also find your website as well. Carol says, if the prospect says, I need to talk to my wife, should I run the other way? Great question. You know what I find interesting is that most of the time when I'm talking to male clients, and a large portion of our clients are male, they never feel like they need to talk to their wife. When I talk to female clients, they generally talk to their husbands. And so, should you run the other way? No. I think if anything, if someone feels the need to think it over and talk to their loved one, I think it's fine. I think it's a matter of then of asking, when can I follow up with you? Because that's where it gets lost, is when they say they have to talk to someone first, and now you don't hear back from them. Yesenia says, what are your thoughts of the new social media platforms marketing for professional businesses? Example, on Instagram and TikTok. Facebook has felt right with professional business, but it's hard to market services in Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, and I'm getting ready to start testing Instagram by using reels or short form videos. I think it depends on where is your ideal client hanging out, and going back to when I said, for example, service-based businesses and maybe marketing agencies, those guys are going to be on LinkedIn more than likely. They may also be on social media. I think for anything in terms of Instagram and TikTok, that if you're going to make those short form videos, you have to be clear again on who is your ideal client and what is the content that you need to impart. What is of value to them? What are their biggest questions? What are their biggest concerns? And now you have to be able to put that into very short form videos to get their attention. So the question would be, are you going to go with the trends like TikTok, people dancing or doing things that and challenges? I think they run some challenges on TikTok. Are you going to follow those trends, or are you going to have more of your own unique branding when you're doing your videos? Ultimately, for marketing, and I would say the challenge with marketing is that you can do something marketing related, and it takes time to figure out whether it's working. So it's not like when we're working on our financials or financials for clients, and we do A and we get B, right? We go through the bookkeeping process, we reconcile, we close the books, we're done, and we know we finished. When you do marketing, there's a lot of things that you do, and you have to wait to see if they work, and you have to be consistent. Remember, I talked about a clear, concise, and consistent marketing message. You have to do it on a consistent basis to see if it will work. And then you have to look at your analytics to see what's working, or even what is changing. So for example, in 2014, I started a blog called 5-Minute Bookkeeping. And I grew that blog. It became fairly successful. But then I started doing YouTube videos because it was taking a lot of time for me to write tutorials on the blog. And video was easier for me to do that. So I started posting the videos on YouTube. Well, all of a sudden I start realizing that the videos are doing better than the blog. And then I decided to then change my approach and spend more time making videos and less time on the blog, because to me, in my mind, everything was about a blog post and then I made videos for the blogs. Then I had to change my mindset and now say I make videos, and from my videos we can do social media, we can do blog posts, we can do reels and other things. Del Marie, how did you overcome your shyness? That is a fantastic question. Okay, so as I said before, the thought of speaking in front of an audience was very, very scary to me. I was afraid I was just going to go blank, that I wouldn't know what to do. But I knew I have to get out there. I'm going to have to do these things for my business, and I have no choice. So number one, you have to think about what's the alternative. If this business doesn't work, what is the alternative? And do you want the alternative, or do you want to grow your business? And so you have to be in the mindset of, I have no choice. I have to do the things that will help me to grow my business. Second thing that I started thinking about was, what am I passionate about? I'm very passionate about educating others, about empowering other people. And that desire to help others had to be bigger than the fear I had of talking in public or doing webinars and things like I do now. And so I had to be very focused on that passion that I had. The third thing to keep in mind is that while internally, you are probably a shy and introverted person, I'm guessing, Del Marie, as I was, that we think that everyone can see that in us. And actually they don't. They just see a confident person that they would like to get to know. And so when we think about getting up in front of other people or putting ourselves out there, we always filter it through that fear that we have. But the people who are watching you don't necessarily sense that fear. They don't feel the fear that you do. And so the thing to do is that you have to get out and do it anyway, and feel the fear. They say, feel the fear and do it anyway. And when you do it enough times, then you'll get comfortable doing it. Do I still get nervous before I do these things? Yes, and sometimes more than others, depending on what I'm presenting on. But again, it's just a matter of, you have to get out and do it. And lastly, I would say, even though I was deathly afraid of presenting to others and talking to other people, I'm a very musical person. I sing, I play the guitar. I've always been on stage. I've played in front of hundreds of people and sang, but I didn't realize that actually singing and playing the guitar is much harder to do than public speaking. And so when I realized that, my husband had to point that out to me. Like, when you're talking to people, they don't know if you messed up, but when you sing and you're on the wrong key, or you got the wrong chord on the guitar, they know it because they hear it. So once I understood that, okay, I've already been singing and playing in front of people, and that's hard enough. Public speaking is not that hard, so I've got this. And so it was just a matter of doing it. I took training. I went to Toastmasters. I got training, and Toastmasters is actually a very safe place to go and practice your public speaking, practice talking to people, and really that's how you overcome it. But am I still introverted? Absolutely. And I've talked about being introverted and how you have to do a lot of self-care because you just run out of energy. And anyway, I have other videos where I've talked about that. But again, you're not going to stop being introverted, but you can overcome your shyness if you're willing to help others. Thao says, when to know you're ready to take your, how do you know when you're ready to take your first client? Um, so from a systems and capacity standpoint, I believe is what you're asking me. So when do you know you're ready? Okay. We tend to be perfectionists, and sometimes we think everything has to be perfect before I can take on the first client, and everything's not going to be perfect. And so I think if you're a bookkeeper, accountant, I assume you have some training, that you've taken training, you've gotten your certifications. If you have some basic systems and are able to work with clients, then I think it's time to find that first client. If you still feel where you're lacking confidence, then make sure that you join my Facebook group. You might need to take more courses. Check out my courses as well as other people's courses. But I think it's just a matter of if you have the knowledge and if you have some basic systems to work with clients, then by all means start working with your clients. Ridwan says, is it better to choose up to 3 niches to target as a new bookkeeper who is just starting out, or should you just stick with one? I typically say that if you're a new bookkeeper, you may not necessarily want to pick a specific niche yet because you don't have enough experience yet. And so the easiest thing is to work with service-based businesses because they're simpler. So you might want to start there. And then based on the types of clients that you get, you may find a niche um, based on the clients that you're working with, or you may then look for a specific niche. But I think it's more important for you to get more general knowledge when you're first starting out. Okay, Julio is asking, where is the best place for marketing for a Shopify niche? What content to put out if you're a brand new firm? Okay, so for Shopify sellers, as I mentioned earlier, most of our clients are finding us on YouTube. They find my videos on my YouTube channel. There's also the Shopify Partners community, where there are Shopify sellers as well as Shopify partners who are interacting on that community. There are a lot of people who don't want to touch e-commerce. And so if you let them know that you work with Shopify sellers, they will refer clients to you. And just social media in general. I've looked for conferences for Shopify sellers. I haven't found any specific ones, but there are meetups, also local meetups that you can go to. But I would say social media is probably the best way, especially in just letting everybody know that this is what you do. Carol says, sometimes the client is a startup, so do you pass when they don't have the cash flow yet? If they can't pay me, then we can't work with them. So I do work with some e-commerce sellers who have recently started selling, but their sales have taken off. And so if a client can't pay, then they're not an ideal client and you shouldn't work with them. Now, if they have some sort of fund set aside to pay for getting their book set up and their accounting going, then you can work with them. La Kenya says, I work with a community college because I teach bookkeeping and QuickBooks classes. I got an email from the director of a business reaching out after class ended to do a one-on-one. The school will pay me per hour. I'm looking for new clients. Should I work towards making company my client while assisting through school? How would you go about it, as my cost will be more than what the school charges? Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, you teach at a community college and one of your students reached out for a one-on-one training, and the school will pay you to work with them, but you're looking to actually do this on your own. assisting through school. Yeah, I don't know if the community college has any issues with you having your own business and then taking those clients on later. But again, the cost situation there is if you're teaching people through the community college, they're going to pay you a certain hourly rate. But when you work through those with those clients on your own, you're going to charge them more, as you should. And so I think it's a question of whether those clients would be willing to pay you for your rate instead of what the school charges. And I think that's a lot of it has to do with then, do they still want to work with you? Are you providing enough value to them to where they would continue to pay you even though you would charge them more? Michelle says, how do you feel about marketing on LinkedIn versus Facebook since it's more B2B? Okay, so I personally don't do any more marketing on LinkedIn just because most of my e-commerce sellers are not on LinkedIn. However, when I did do marketing on LinkedIn, I got 2 clients out of LinkedIn that where I charged more like $100,000 a year each for the services that I provided. So when I was on LinkedIn, I did very well and got a few other clients through LinkedIn. I did a fairly good job when I was on LinkedIn in terms of promoting my niche and then connecting with a lot of accountants and CPAs who then referred clients to me. And that's how I got those 2 big clients out of it. And so I think, again, it's a question of where is your ideal client hanging out, or where are people who would refer those clients to you hanging out, and that's where you need to be. And I personally now do a lot of marketing. I wouldn't call it marketing as much as providing content and building community in Facebook, especially in my Facebook group. And that has been very successful for me. So I think it's, has to do with what's more natural to you. Do you feel more comfortable networking or marketing on LinkedIn versus Facebook versus something else? For me, it's Facebook or YouTube. So let's see. Tracy, can you share whether having a website is necessary? And how and when did I create one? So a website, I personally think that a website will legitimatize your business. So when I'm Googling somebody that I want to work with, I always go to the website. I always check them out. And so I think you should have a website. Now, do you need a website with multiple pages, and do you need an expensive website? You don't. But I think you should have a website, even if it's a one-pager. And how did I create that website? I used the WordPress. When I started my business, there are other platforms now that you can use that are probably simpler to use, like Wix being one of them. Squarespace is another that you can use. That's probably easier to use. Jennifer says, I keep getting super nice clients that don't answer transaction questions, which I set up in an online spreadsheet. How do you get super nice and cooperative clients? Oh, I feel the pain, Jennifer. I feel your pain. So there's a couple of changes that you need to make, because you may want to still work with those super nice clients, but they're not answering you. And we've worked with clients like that they're paying us great money. They're super nice people that are just super busy. One is that you need to change your service agreement to say that you provide your services on a subscription basis. So that means that if they don't respond to you, then they just keep paying. They're going to keep paying, and you're not obligated to complete their work unless they provide you what you need. And we also added wording later on to our service agreement that they're subject to being terminated. And so that means that if after 3 months we still don't have any responses from them, then I will likely terminate their services, and then we don't give any money back to them because they're on a subscription basis. So it's use it or lose it. Aside from that, in the sales conversation, you have to make that very clear to them that we work with clients who are cooperative, who collaborate with us. We cannot complete their work unless they answer our questions, and that they are subject to being terminated. So it's just making that clear to them from the very beginning, and then hopefully they'll work out. But it is very hard to find clients who are going to be responsive. Felicia says, how does the new bookkeeper circumvent the challenges of not having experience reviews to land that first client? Well, you'd be surprised, Felicia. I think that a lot of business owners are not necessarily looking to or asking, are you experienced? Should they? Probably, but many of them don't. And so I think it's a matter of, if you don't have that work experience, to then highlight your training, your certifications, and go about it that way, and just work with a couple of clients. And once you do, I think you'll be more confident and continue on getting those clients. But don't let that hold you back. Dan says, Facebook and Twitter are both in turmoil. I just wanted to branch out into alternative channels. I think industry associations are the way for me to go. Yeah, I mean, definitely Twitter's in turmoil. Facebook, probably I'm still on Facebook. So until it goes down or whatever happens, I will continue on Facebook. But Twitter, I've never been a big fan of using Twitter. But yeah, find what works for you. Carol says, how can I feel comfortable doing public speaking? So I already answered that question, I think, already. So hopefully, if you didn't hear it, Carol, there'll be the recording. But you need to go to Toastmasters. Really, that's really the starting point of where you can get around a safe place to then start doing public speaking. Sarah says, can you speak specifically to how you communicate your value in your marketing, aside from I'm a great bookkeeper with lots of experience? Okay, so here's an important takeaway. When we talk about communicating our value, we think that our value comes from accurate and timely financials, right? That we're going to do the reconciliations, we're going to do the bookkeeping, our clients are going to have reports. Okay, so here's what you need to understand. Clients don't value any of what we do that has to do with the technical things that we do, okay? Because they don't know what it is. They don't understand it. So if they don't know what it is, then they don't understand it. They don't value it. What they value is how they work or rather how they feel. So clients value how they feel when they work with you. So that's where, when we realize, then if that's what it is, it's about experience, not our experience, the experience that they have, the emotions that they have when they work with you. If it's about increasing positive emotions, decreasing negative emotions, helping them save time and helping them save money. That's really what it's all about. It's just emotions, time, and money. So when we first have realized that that's what they value, then we have to work on how do we communicate those things to them. So for example, almost every prospective client that I have ever worked with has said that their CPA, accountant, or former bookkeeper never responded to them on a timely basis. Their previous bookkeeper maybe ghosted them. Their CPA doesn't want to talk to them because they're too busy. So then how can we convey value if that is a pain point? How do we then decrease that negative emotion and increase a positive emotion? So one way to communicate value and provide value is then to say that we have a 24-hour response time. Okay, so now We're taking that thing that was painful to them and now saying that, hey, we will respond to you. Another is what about people that are having customers that are, or clients that are paying by the hour and ended up paying a ton of money and the books were still messed up. So we provide fixed fee pricing. So you will always know what your price is upfront. You will never have a surprise invoice from us. And so then, as I said, we have to start figuring out what are the pain points that our clients have, what are the negative emotions, and how do we turn those into positive emotions by letting them know that these are the things that we do. Another is most of our clients are afraid to talk to their CPAs because they don't understand what they say. So then we tell our clients that we communicate directly with their CPA and answer all the questions that they have. And mind you that probably all the things that I mentioned, we're going to talk to the CPA, we're going to answer their questions on a timely basis. We're probably doing all of that for free anyway, because that's what I found out. Everything that was of value to a client, I was doing it for free. So when I started communicating those things and putting a price on that value, that's when everything changed for me. Hopefully that helps you, Sarah. Carol asked, does your niche have to be focused on a specific industry? Ideally, yes, although you can have niches that are called horizontal niches. For example, QuickBooks Online is a niche. That's the niche I had for many years. I was very successful being a QuickBooks Online expert for service-based businesses. And so you can have a niche that is a vertical niche, although I feel like nowadays that being industry specific might be more effective for marketing purposes. Let me see how we're doing with time. Okay. Let me switch back to my slides here. I just wanted to share about our sale in case you have to go because we're coming up on an hour. But I will continue answering a few more questions. But let me share some resources with you. So this is in your handout. So make sure that you look at my YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos there on e-commerce accounting as well as growing a successful bookkeeping business. There's also the 5MB Academy. This is where I provide free and paid training to help you become a more confident bookkeeper. And if you haven't done so already, sign up to be notified about my latest content, webinars, and courses. And I believe Jessie will share that link with you. So as I mentioned before, I do provide free and paid content on 5MB Academy. This is my online academy where I help bookkeepers to become more confident. And my latest course that I released back in October is called Market Like an Extrovert. It is my marketing course in which I teach you much of what I talked about. I teach all of that to you and show you how to implement it into your business. This is an online course. You have access to it from the time you purchase it. You have unlimited access to the course. And I am offering a 15% discount between now and December the 29th. So you get early access to the sale because we won't be promoting the sale until later, but you do have the access to this discount and sale through December the 29th. And you can buy the course in one of two ways. One is just making one payment. Normally it's $797 with a discount. It'll be $667.45, or 3 monthly payments of $233.75, normally $275 a month. To sign up for the course, Jessie will share that link with you. And what's included in the course? There's over 70 videos with English closed captions where I guide you through all of the lessons. And each lesson includes a PDF handout as well as a workbook for you to implement what I teach you. It has done for you Facebook and LinkedIn banner templates, 30 examples of getting your prospective clients to take action and book a discovery call with you. It has a guide to the biggest accounting needs by industry, so you can address your ideal client's biggest needs. 3 sample lead magnets, over 50 done-for-you examples for communicating how you help your ideal client to achieve their desired goals, because that's the key is, again, that message, that marketing message of what do we do, who do we do it for, how do we do it. A guide for using a scheduling app to set up your discovery calls, a content planning template, a video planning checklist, a list of the exact tech tools and equipment stack I use for making YouTube videos, and a 1-year membership to a private student group in which you can interact with me directly and get my feedback on your own marketing materials. So again, if you are interested in learning more about the course, then check that out. And let me pop this in here for you guys. If you're interested, then just click learn more, and you can learn more about the course. And by the way, I do go into communicating your value and effectively communicating your value. Okay, so I am back to the your questions. All right, and Rebecca, so I'm gonna go 15 more minutes in answering questions, and yeah, I think I have time. Let's see if we have just a few more, but at 15 minutes I will stop, so hopefully we won't have too many more questions. Okay, Rebecca asks, how do you feel about bartering with bookkeeping? Example, I have a possible new client who does social media marketing. I don't have time to do my media anymore and cannot afford to hire someone. She does not have time to do her bookkeeping and can't fully afford me. So we might barter our services. I'm going to speak from an experience where I bartered and it did not work well at all. And so I would stay away from bartering. I think what I would do instead of bartering, if you both agree that you want to discount your services for each other because you can help each other, then you just invoice each other and pay each other, okay? But don't barter. And the reason is that sometimes one person will do way more than the other person, or that person may think that you didn't do everything you were supposed to, or they didn't do everything you wanted them to do. And that's where then things get out of whack in that bartering process. And so what happened to me is that my hairstylist, I was bartering with the hairstylist, and she cut my hair and colored it and did all sorts of things for, I don't know, 2-3 years. And in the meantime, she wasn't giving me anything so I could do her books. But she had every intention of doing so. And so then it got to a point of, you know what, we need to stop this because I probably owe her a lot of money and she hasn't given me anything to do her books. So then I ended up having to write a really big check to pay her for all the services that she provided. And so it didn't go well. We should have just been invoicing each other and left it at that. Evelyn says, hi, Veronica. Thanks for sharing all this great information. Question, when you find a niche that you want to attract, what will be the first step to take? Okay, great question, and you're welcome, Evelyn. I love sharing all this information. Okay, so let's say that you identified a niche, let's say it was restaurants, and that you wanted to start attracting those restaurant clients. I will start doing some research, and I go through this very example in my course and show you how to do it. I will start then researching the niche, and let's say if it's restaurants that are using QuickBooks Online, then I will start looking up maybe restaurant bookkeeping QuickBooks Online, and find out what are the challenges that they have. So for many of them is that they're using a point of sale system and that they have to get the sales and transactions from the point of sale system into QuickBooks. So they're going to either have to use a daily sales entry to do that, or they're going to try to use some sort of integration between that point of sale system and QuickBooks. So then I would find what is the integration that most of them are trying to use. So let's say that is Shogo. Well, most people who attempt to use Shogo don't set it up properly. So now I know that, okay, they're trying to use QuickBooks Online. They're trying to integrate, let's say, Toast, the point of sale system, into QuickBooks Online using Shogo, and that they're messing up the books. So now I know what some of their biggest problems are. For example, for Shopify sellers, they're trying to integrate Shopify with QuickBooks Online and finding some random app that imports thousands of transactions into the book, then they have no idea what to do with the data that just dumped into their books. So then I go on YouTube and I talk about the fact that that's what they did, and that how it's messing up their books, how they can clean up the books, or here's another app that you should be using. And then those people contact me to clean up their books and to set up their integrations. So it's all about really finding that niche, specializing. I'm going to assume it's in QuickBooks Online. It could be Zero, it could be something else, but specializing in a particular accounting software, then knowing what are the biggest mistakes that the people in your niche are making in QuickBooks Online, and then knowing if they're then trying to do some integrations between QuickBooks Online and whatever system they're using. What are the biggest problems they're going to have with those integrations? And that's where your marketing then can speak directly to that people in that niche, and speak directly to them about the problems that they know that they're having. And I go through all of this in my course, Market Like an Extrovert. I show you how to research. I show you some of the things that you can look for when targeting those particular niches. Yui says, could you clarify how you leverage using Shopify Partners Community to get clients? I don't specifically use the community to get clients, but I know that there is a Shopify community where you can go in and interact with other either Shopify users or Shopify partners. But in particular, if you, let's say you start networking and interacting with Shopify partners, that they're setting up the back end for those Shopify sellers, and they need someone who knows how to either do the bookkeeping for their clients or do the integrations, because many of them are setting up everything in Shopify, but they don't know how to do the integration with QuickBooks. So that's where you can then find those Shopify partners who can refer clients to you. Robbie says, the content that you share, is it always original content, or is it okay to share an article, etc., that someone else has written, but of course, share who originally wrote the article? I prefer to share my own original content, because then it positions me as the expert. And that's part of my marketing. It's all about being an expert in whatever, like in Shopify accounting or cleanup or whatever that is. I always market myself and position myself as the expert. And I think in terms of finding those clients who value what you do, who are fairly convinced you're the only one who can help them, and who are willing and able to pay for your services, if you position yourself as an expert, that's how you will attract those clients. And he's asked, where would you suggest networking if there aren't people in your niche, in your area? So in person or BNI won't work for my niche. Online, I think, is really the only way then that you can find those people, find where they're hanging out, find if they have some industry associations, industry conferences, and as well as then connecting with people who can refer those clients to you. And Natalie says, I've tried using your example of the service agreement with a new client, and he refused to sign it, saying it would make him liable. I tried to explain that it would cover both of us. How do you explain the service agreement to a prospective client so that they really understand the value of the agreement? I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever had anybody refused to sign a service agreement. So I think maybe you found an oddball, Natalie. if anything, the service agreement protects them as well as you, because now you're agreeing on the services that will be provided as well as the terms of services and the payment terms. And really, if anything, if I was then again going back to the question about how do you communicate value, the fact that you provide a written service agreement is of value to that client, because then you put in writing what you're agreeing to do. And yeah, so I don't know if I would feel a little weird working with a client that I had to convince that they had to sign the service agreement, and would probably just say, okay, fine, you don't have to sign it, and I don't have to work with you. So, all right. Well, we are at the end, everyone. We made it. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to wish you very happy holidays. I see one last question from Evelyn. And so I will answer Evelyn's question, and that's the last one, and then we'll let you go. Evelyn says, what do you think about this? The QBO expert for staging and realtor services. Oh, I love it. Fantastic. I like that, being an expert for staging. And I might even do a little bit more digging for staging and realtor services. And actually in my course, I teach about then what do you do? Like, hi, I'm Evelyn Butler, and I help staging and realtor services too. And so what do you help them to do? And that's what I teach in my course to help you then communicate. But I love the one-liner like, hi, I'm the QBO expert for staging and realtor services. So that's fantastic. And I love that niche, by the way. So thank you so much for joining me. I want to wish you a very happy holidays. Stay safe, stay warm and dry. I know it's going to be cold in many parts of the country. Pray for us here in Texas, because we're getting ready to get an Arctic blast. And last time our electric grid failed. And so they're saying it's going to work, but we don't know for sure. So we appreciate your thoughts and prayers about that. But thank you so much. And I want to wish you all the best. Take care. Bye.